I love you.
An act of true love will thaw a frozen heart.
Making a satisfying finale can be tough, and these Disney flicks almost ended a bit differently. Disney is known for giving audiences happy endings where everything is tied with a neat little bow. These flicks from the Mouse House originally had much different third acts than what we got in the final product. From giant sea monster battles and the end of magic to leaving the jungle, let's see which Disney movies originally had darker endings.
You wouldn't kill your old uncle.
I'm like you.
The ending of Pixar's sea monster fable Luca won over the hearts of audiences around the world and even made them weepy. What's interesting is that the film almost took a different route in its third act and would have played up the humans versus sea monster feud that looms over the film. Initially, the climax would have centered around Alberto transforming into a giant kraken, with Luca ultimately having to stand up against the humans for his misunderstood friend. The Luca team eventually decided to lower the stakes and give the film a more simple resolution, which certainly worked in the film's favor.
They are the winners.
In the conclusion of Raya and the Last Dragon, after being shot by Namaari, Sisu comes back to life, alongside all the other dragons. Surprisingly, the filmmakers initially debated whether or not Sisu and the other dragons should return, or if a resurrected Sisu should remain the last dragon. In order to stay true to the East Asian themes, the creative team decided to stick with a happier ending, and one that promoted prosperity.
Hope you don't mind. She brought some friends.
While Pixar's Soul ends with Joe getting another chance to live his life on Earth and make his lifelong dreams come to fruition, that wasn't always the case. The folks at Pixar initially debated about whether or not the film should end with Joe passing on to the great beyond, instead of getting another chance on Earth. Multiple endings were thrown around, but the crew soon figured out how they could have Joe return to Earth without betraying the themes of the story or the audience.
So we all decided to give you another chance.
Onward is the rare Pixar film that is notably absent of a clear villain, but in the initial stages of the film, that wasn't the case. Story supervisor Kelsey Mann revealed that in the earlier stages of the film, there was a true villain who was guarding the hidden gem needed to bring back Ian and Barley's late father. The film's crew ended up scrapping the character as they couldn't figure out a real motive or purpose for a villainous character.
Wow, that's really terrible.
I know.
Part of Frozen's popularity can be credited to how the film handles the themes of sisterhood between Anna and Elsa. The film may not have been successful if the team at Disney decided to go with their original plans. Producer Peter Del Vecchio revealed that Anna and Elsa weren't always supposed to be sisters, as Elsa was initially planned to be the villain of the film, in an attempt to make the film more similar to its source material, Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen. In another twist, the film would have ended in a giant ice battle with Anna and Elsa right in the center of it.
No, I'm not leaving without you, Elsa.
Yes, you are.
If Tangled had stayed closer to the original source material, the film would have featured Mother Gothel tricking Flynn into believing that Rapunzel was no more. In retaliation, Flynn would have thrown himself from the tower, only to be saved by a bush that caused him to lose his eyesight. Instead, the filmmakers went a different route, giving the characters a much happier ending, with Rapunzel reuniting with her parents and marrying Flynn. The film almost ended differently until the release of a certain documentary made the creative team reconsider. The film originally had the characters of Destiny, Bailey, and Hank being left behind at the marine park. After watching the SeaWorld Exposé documentary, Blackfish, the film's crew reconsidered and decided that the characters needed an ending where they were happier and truly free.
Well, I guess we'll go back home and brush up on the anemone.
The Little Mermaid's climax almost took a darker turn and originally featured a sequence where Ursula kidnaps Eric and attempts to drown him underneath the waves. The film's crew thought twice about the scene and deemed it too violent, which led them to change it to Eric defeating Ursula and rescuing Ariel while sailing a wrecked ship. Everyone knows the ending of Tarzan, where Jane and her father decide to abandon civilization and stay in the jungle with Tarzan. But the film's ending almost went in the exact opposite direction that would have been more similar to its source material, featuring Tarzan leaving his ape family behind and heading to human civilization to live with Jane. Directors Chris Buck and Kevin Lima ultimately decided against this, as they didn't want to have the titular hero abandon his family.
Sarabi and I didn't see you at the presentation of Simba.
That was today?
The Lion King is already one of Disney's darker animated films, but it almost had a much darker finale. The film's final showdown between Simba and Scar had initially gone down differently, as storyboards reveal that Scar successfully threw his nephew off Pride Rock before ultimately falling off himself and succumbing to the flames. Simba is ultimately shown to be alive as a tree had broken his fall. The Disney execs likely saw this ending as too intense for children and had the animation team change it to Scar being eaten alive by the hyenas. This admittedly is still pretty dark.
I've got to take you back to the Man Village.
The Man Village?
Disney's animated Jungle Book ends with Mowgli falling for a girl and following her back to the Man Village. But originally, the film didn't end there. In fact, earlier versions of the film followed Mowgli reuniting with his mother, as well as a time jump revealing that he is now at odds with the animals that raised him. If that wasn't enough, the film would have ended with Mowgli returning to the jungle to hunt down the villainous Shere Khan with a rifle.
Smokey, I need Cruz!
Never mind that now.
No, I need her back here! Now! Get her back!
Cars 3 ends with aspiring racer Cruz Ramirez taking Lightning McQueen's spot in the penultimate race. The film almost featured an ending where Cruz didn't get her chance to show off her racing skills, and instead had Lightning winning the race, and the film would have ended with the start of a mentorship.
Is it safe?
I guess I'll find out.
The Incinerator scene in Toy Story 3 is one of the most emotionally intense sequences in any Disney movie. Director Lee Unkrich revealed that he and the team behind the film had actually made an alternate cut, where it ends right when Woody, Buzz, and the gang are about to meet their untimely end in the incinerator, cutting out the moment where they are saved by the aliens. This cut of the film was obviously never meant to be released and was only made as a practical joke. Thank goodness.
We're just here for him.
The climactic chase in Lilo and Stitch almost went down differently, initially featuring Stitch hijacking a commercial airplane and flying through the city in order to rescue Lilo, crashing into several buildings in the process. Due to tragic events that occurred during the time of the film's production, the animators came to the decision to reanimate the scene, so it wouldn't resemble the recent tragedy, with the plane being changed to a starship and the buildings into mountains. Toy Story 4 certainly concluded on an emotional note, albeit it was one that felt appropriate. Director Josh Cooley revealed that the initial ending was going to go a different route, with Woody and Bo-Peep parting ways. Woody would go back to be with Bonnie, while Bo-Peep gives up her status as a lost toy and goes to live with Harmony. In the end, Cooley found that this ending would go against the film's message of accepting change, and instead had Woody join Bo as a lost toy.
To infinity and beyond.
These Disney films certainly would have felt like much different movies if they decided to go on a darker or more melancholy route. From near-fatal experiences, heroes becoming villains, and even the underdogs never getting a chance to succeed, it's clear that the creative minds at Disney made the right choice. Is there a Disney movie that you feel should have ended differently?